Hey everyone, Chris here for Thoman's Guitars and Basses. We had the absolute pleasure of having Chris Martin here in the Thomann store, so we grabbed him for a couple of questions. Enjoy. Whenever you talk about the history of Martin guitar, you're really humble. You always give a lot of credit to your ancestors.
Sure.
What is one of those achievements that are connected to your name that you are most proud of?
Yeah. You know, when I was very young, it was the folk boom.
Yeah.
And then my dad convinces my grandfather to build a new factory to accommodate the demand for the folk boom. We opened the factory in 1964, and the Beatles come to America. So a whole nother wave of interest in guitars, not just acoustic, but acoustic and electric. So I watched that, and I said, this is pretty interesting. Company keeps growing. My dad made some acquisitions. And then by the late 1970s, it had peaked.
Okay.
The Eagles were sort of the last great folk rock band. And then music went in a different direction, which it often does. And so it went to disco, which wasn't really good for live music, but it was music, and digital sampling keyboards. And if you were in the business of making pointy electric guitars for hair metal bands, it was all good.
Neon colors.
So now the business does this, and then it starts to do that. And my father's strategy was time to retire.
Okay.
So he retires, right? And I'm getting out of college. I'm coming back to the business. My grandfather's still active. And then my grandfather died. And the board of directors, they basically looked at me and they go, oh my God, I guess it's the kid, right? It's like, you know, his last name is Martin and he inherited some stock. So I get to be CEO. I was, 34 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And the company was really struggling. There were some issues in production that just concerned me. And it's like, well, we can't afford to change it or fix it. And so when I took over, I said, all right, the first thing we're going to do is fix all those little things that we've been ignoring that some people are aware of. And that resonated with my colleagues in the shop. But we weren't making any money. In fact, we were losing money. So we end up in what's called workout with a little bank in Reading, Pennsylvania that took us on as a fixer-upper.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
And thank goodness they did. And so we we're in conversation with them about, hey, can we borrow some money? They're like, you're already overextended, but we'll pay you back. Then we'd get some cash in and we pay them back. And so we'd go back and forth and back and forth. And it was just, okay, if this is our lot in life, and we had gone from 23,000 guitars at the peak of the folk rock boom to 3,000.
Whoa.
Lost 20,000 units volume, right? Yeah, it was
Scary.
Really scary. So, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is our lot in life. We tighten our belts. And we kind of limped along for a couple of years, and I thought, I guess this is it. We haven't filed for bankruptcy.
Wow.
And one day, my colleague, Dick Boak, comes into my office. And he said, I got a phone call from MTV. Okay, the rock video station, yeah. What do they want? Well, they have this idea. They want to bring famous rockers into the studio live and have them play their famous rock songs on acoustic guitars. And I said, I like that idea. Dick said, I was hoping you would. Why did they call us? He said, well, they said that, some of the shows are going to be filmed in New York City. And they may be flying the famous rockers in from LA or from London. They said, first of all, we don't know if they even own acoustic guitars. And if they do, it might be a very valuable personal instrument that they might not feel comfortable traveling with. Dick would get a call on Monday. This is who's coming. Can we get a this model and a this model and a this model? Drive it to New York. MTV Unplugged started slowly, but it built.
Super fast, yeah.
And so what I like to say is sometimes in business, and so I worked closely with a fellow that helped me grow the business after this story. And he was very analytical. And I said, Keith, what about luck? And you could just see these gears were like grinding. He goes, what? What do you mean luck? He said, Chris, you can't forecast luck. I said, no, you can't forecast it. But if luck walks in front of you, shouldn't you pay attention? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, Keith, without MTV Unplugged, we might still just be making 3,000 guitars a year. So It wasn't my idea, but it was a great idea, and
Yeah.
it saved my ass.
This actually connects to something that I also wanted to ask. Artist relations.
Yeah.
The players
Yep.
have always, or at least that's my impression, had always played a huge role in the history of the brand
Yes.
and the way the brand developed.
Yep.
Are there like most influential players, Martin players, in
Sure.
your eyes?
Martin guitars are very popular in Japan. And it took me a while to figure out why would they like Western guitars? And why would they appreciate the quality of Western guitars? And when I was younger, I would go to Japan, and I'm keenly interested in like local craft. Hey, I'm in Tokyo. I want to go to a store where they don't sell tchotchke souvenirs. They sell well-crafted Japanese souvenirs. And that's when it dawned on me, the Japanese are obsessed with quality.
Yes.
And that's what it's okay, the Martin guitar is the finest in the world. So our distributor, we said, can you do some research? Do some research with your customers and ask them who's their favorite guitarist, right? Just so we can get a sense of the lay of the land. So it's so funny. And statistically, this makes no sense. They come back and they go, and it's pretty much still the case today. They said, we did the survey, and the player that is absolutely topmost in the mind of the majority of the people we surveyed was Eric Clapton. Great.
Wow.
Eric plays a Martin guitar, not exclusively, but this is great. And they said, now, statistically, this makes no sense. Do you want to know who is the second most influential player in Japan? Sure, Eric Clapton.
What?
What? And we're like, and do you want to know who's the third? Sure, Eric Clapton. And guess what? Eric Clapton's going back to Japan, I think this month, I think next week, because not only do the Japanese love Eric and his music, Eric loves the Japanese. Okay. So I'm gonna say Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Why not? And more contemporarily,
Yes.
say John Mayer.
John Mayer.
And what's nice is it's a mutual admiration society. My colleagues and I love and admire their creativity and their music, and they love and admire the tool that helps them portray that message that they're trying to give to the audience.
What would be your non-Martin guitar of choice?
What I always get really fascinated about, and this is one of the things I miss about the Frankfurt Messe.
Okay.
Because it was a world's fair. But I still get that experience at NAMM. And also I see it when I go to the Shanghai trade show, is there'll be someone there that doesn't have to worry about their reputation. And they'll build some wild and crazy thing. And I'll walk in the booth and they know who I am. And I'm like, holy mackerel, that's really cool. And I'm like, thank you, Mr. Martin. And I say to him, I couldn't do that. If I did that, people would think I went insane and they'd put me in an asylum. So that's what I find fun, is to meet a luthier that they're like, no, I'm going to try this. It's like, bless you. One of my favorite fun guitars, I was just thinking about this, because, it's just fun to do goofy things. One of my favorite fun guitars was the Takamine Flying V Acoustic.
Oh,
I don't know if you ever
I've seen
saw
pictures.
one,
Only
right?
just
I mean,
yeah.
Someone at Takamine had a sense of humor, right?
And they went all in, yeah.
Right, and that's part of our industry, is you need people that are willing to take a chance, because once in a while, you look at effects pedals. Yeah. They're still very popular, and there's still guys noodling in their garage going, wait a minute, that's a different sound, right? That's what's fun about this industry.
Wow, that's a really good point of reference and inspiration, I guess, for all of us, to have the whole variety.
If you're looking for a career as a guitar builder, first of all, I would recommend that you think about learning how to repair guitars. Yeah, I want to become a guitar builder. That's great. But if you learn how to repair guitars, you can pay the rent by doing repairs while you're trying to establish your name as a guitar builder. And the other thing I would recommend, that you take a couple of chances. It's too easy to go, well, I'm just going to copy Martin. I mean, God bless you. But it's like, the best you're going to do is to make a copy of the real thing.
Yeah.
Make your own real thing and see if the world responds to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's
Sure.
been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for watching. Meet you down there in the comment section below. Of course, subscribe if you like these kind of videos, and see you in the next one very soon. Bye-bye.